realized on the last Rarities chat, I don't know, I may have said it was Small Town Poets, but I know I didn't say our names, and I realized our names were removed from the broadcast. I think when you have 5 people, it doesn't show your names, but we're Small Town Poets. We are live here on Facebook and YouTube, and this is our Rarities discussion number 2, the evolution of Middle of First Love.
Oh, our names just went away.
That's why. I'm Kevin, and well, I don't know if it's ordered the same way for everyone else, but to my, these things are always backwards. To my, this direction is Miguel, and below me is Danny, and over there is Michael. And if you are joining us, we would love for you to say hi in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. Last time we had people from all over the world. It was exciting. So,
cool.
Yeah, check in the comments. And if you have a question along the way, feel free to ask a question, and we'll hopefully answer it. And we've already got some hype for this episode. Joel is saying that Middle of First Love has become his favorite Small Town Poets song. So we'll be talking about it. He's going to find out more information about it that he didn't know. And it's an interesting one. The thing I love about this particular song and what happened to it is that it was one of those songs that just was kind of like nobody was excited about. It was a different song. If you've got the Rarities box set, digital box set, we have the original demo in there, and you'll probably wonder, that's a totally different song. But that's how it happened. And so we're going to talk about that today. And in fact, Michael, you were just telling me that something I didn't even know, that about the original lyrics for the song that we had originally. It was called "Bury Me," and you were just telling me something I didn't realize.
Yes. So one of the reasons, and we'll get to this a little bit later, lyrically speaking, as the final thing came together, there was a tension because the inspiration for the song lyrically was from a song by some friends of ours in a band called The Waiting that they had demoed but never tracked. And if I'm remembering correctly, Danny was inspired by the hook from that song idea. And I don't know if we were leaning in heavily into it melodically or even lyrically, but just part of that main hook of the song we were leaning into from The Waiting. So it was a tension, to keep that, because like those guys and like where that was inspired from, or go a different direction.
Yeah, that's right. That I didn't realize, or I'd forgotten, that The Waiting never released that song, but it said "Bury Me and Carry Me and Marry Me," and I guess
bury me, oh, bury me, oh.
Yeah. And I probably did know it wasn't released, which is why I in good conscience could grab those three. I just like the way those three phrases rhymed. And but interestingly, in listening to these different iterations of the demo that you posted in the Rarities package, Kevin, the first demo sounds like I'm singing some verse lyrics, and then when we get to the chorus, I don't even sing "Bury Me" or "Carry Me." I just la 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 la. And then in the second version of the demo, I think I'm right, nobody sings on the verse, but then Michael comes in on the chorus singing bury me, and carry me, carry me. So I don't really know how all that, I guess it was just one of those things where we were writing and rewriting lyrics and deciding we didn't like this, and we did like that. But this is the song that I can think of that changed the most for us from beginning to end, almost unrecognizable by the time it became a first from where it started.
Yeah. We're going to, I forgot to mention before we go any further that Byron will probably be joining us late. He works for Joe Gibbs Racing, and the race is going longer than expected. And so he will be here. He will be here. He's got a few more laps to go before he jumps in on the conversation. But this song, most people may not know that Say Hello, that the album that we, our last full-length album, we actually went back to Ardent Studios in Memphis to track a lot of this. And when we went to Ardent, we didn't know if we were going to be doing a full album or we just had an opportunity to go track there again. and so we were just trying to make the most of the time there. And we tracked 9 songs for, drums and bass and some guitar and keys. And the 10th song we did not get to because nobody felt inspired about was Bury Me. And that's
Right.
And so it was like this song that we will get to it at some point. And so we
and
didn't
also
even
9 songs in what, 2 or 3 days. I mean,
Yeah.
it was quite a marathon session.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what from there, if you've got the Rarities box set, you can listen to that original demo and you will hear that the chorus chords is basically similar to what you hear in the final product. But what was that middle step? Because I wasn't there. Since we didn't track that in Memphis, I went back home up here in the Northwest, and you guys, I believe, were at Matt's studio. And I don't even think Danny was in the studio. I think it was just Michael, Miguel, and Byron and Noah. Maybe you were there, Danny. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I was there.
Okay. I remember you guys called me from the studio and said, "Hey, we changed this, and what do you think about it?" And so what happened there? Because that's where it really took a turn and became something different.
I think what happened is just we just really weren't liking it. And
That's what happened.
and Danny didn't even. I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't even get the sense that Danny had a strong passion for the idea the way that it was. We just we knew we needed to forge ahead with another song. It kind of, you know what, Kevin? It was kind of like that Eddie DeGarmo thing that he liked to do with bands when he was A&R at Forefront. Is, when the record was done, he would ask the band to go back and do another song. We need one more. Just need one more.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes the band would come back with something that was really good, if not the best thing on the record, at least something that was pretty strong. And I felt with me like that kind of a moment, like we were all kind of done, but we're kind of doubling down to push some creativity, to push the limits and push a little bit harder. And I think that we started to get a sense that that not to be too precious about the idea as it had come in, but to start stretching it, pushing on it, pulling on it. And, the things that we do as songwriters in our process is we go, well, what does it sound like if we speed it up? What does it sound like if we slow it down? Asking those kinds of kind of rudimentary questions and playing around with it. And then really, I think a next step after that is just getting a groove that feels good. So if it's not about an interesting chord progression, or it's not about this melody that we're just in love with because the lyric and the melody match so well, and there's a lot coming together with the way it feels with the music, then we start just playing around with things that feel good, with that chord progression or those chord changes. And I think that's what happened at that moment. We're like, okay, let's play around with tempo. Let's play around with a feel. What's a feel that we just really like today that feels really good to us?
I think Joe Gibbs must have walked in and
Byron popped in and then he left abruptly. Busted.
He thought better of it.
I know that we're talking about a different song, but real quick, it might interest people to know that what you're talking about with Eddie DeGarmo asking for one more song from the band, even after you've tracked the whole record, is how we got our first number one. If You'll Let Me Love You was not in the original batch of songs. We left Memphis after recording our first album thinking we were done. And if I'm recalling correctly, and Eddie said, we need one more. And we all got back together and wrote If You'll Let Me Love You, or rewrote an old song idea. Is that right? Is that how that happened?
Yep.
There you go. There's an example of that.
You are correct.
So it would be great for Byron to speak into this at this point, because I think this is the last thing he cut drums for on that project, and Miguel was there as well, I think, working on that. So we kind of had a rhythm section that could play together and mess around with this idea until we got something that felt interesting. And I remember leaving the studio that day, having tracked drums to an arrangement, and everybody going, that feels really good. We have no idea where the song is going from here, but that feels really good. Do you remember that, Miguel?
Yeah, my memories of this one is really weird because I remember even tracking bass on it with you, Michael. And that was after we already changed a few things. You know, there was a point where I think I was one of the ones that was voting to like just get rid of this song. I mean, you know, let's just get rid of this song. Let's not continue. Let's just be done. Do another song. I don't like this song. That kind of thing. But then some other arrangements had already been made. By the time I tracked official bass, the song was already getting better. There he is.
Yeah.
Hey,
back.
Did you win it all? I don't think he
hear
can hear us.
He can hear us. Yeah.
I think
Maybe
he's
that's
having
the
internet
problem.
trouble.
He is having internet trouble.
That's
So
it.
Apparently, Wi-Fi hasn't made it to the south yet.
Not yet. Not yet. They're
Well,
working on
it's a silly tropical storm. It's funny, you know, where I am, you're just outside of Atlanta, and where Byron is, just north of Charlotte. That tropical storm that came through, it still had a good bit of wind with it. It took out some utilities.
Yeah. So I remember tracking bass, and like Michael said, it was now feeling really good, but it still wasn't a song. I still wasn't sure what was going on, what we were going to do with it. And it wasn't until I heard the almost, I guess, finished the first mix that I was for the first time hearing the whole song, the changing lyrics and the whole thing, and going, oh, this is now a really good song. But it was like a different song. I was like, did I play on that? Was that me?
well, I can tell you this was one of my favorite recording experiences was working on this song. Matt Goldman, who we tracked in Atlanta in his studio for this record, all the overdubs and such. He came out to Portland, and he and I rented a studio here in Portland in order to record, finish up guitars for the album. It was mostly this song and then a couple of other tracks on a few of the others. But before I tell the story, I'm going to see if I can get Byron back in here. It looks like he's ready. Byron, are you there?
Hey, looking good now.
Hi. I'd like to thank all of my technical sponsors that have made my life a joy in the life.
Is Boris one of your technical sponsors?
No, I could start with the manufacturer of the phone and then go to the cell service. I mean, just let me get started. We'll be here. All right. I'm sure you guys are talking about much more fun things than my technical challenges.
Aren't you contractually obligated to have some sort of beverage in your hand?
I've got some candy corn. Not a beverage, festive nonetheless.
Hey, happy birthday weekend! It's still going on, right?
Yeah,
I think it's officially coming to a close. At least, yeah, it feels like it's coming to a close. But it's been awesome, so I can't complain about the festivities that were at hand.
Hey, Kevin, I feel like we should answer this question. There are several.
Yeah.
Somebody says, "Where can I listen to this song?"
Jackie, it is available wherever you enjoy music. So Spotify, Amazon Music,
Apple
Music, all the services, all the places.
It's called Middle of a First Love.
Yes. And the Rarities digital box set that we have has the various demo versions leading up to the final product, as it does with a few of our other songs, including Prophet, Priest, and King, Everything I Hate. What else is in there? Try. We have the sort of the progression on that one. And I think either Anything Genuine or There's Only You. One of those two.
It was Anything Genuine.
Yeah. But yeah, you can check it out. Oh, yeah. What's that? Andrew. Oh.
Andrew's question.
Oh,
like
here we go.
Question.
Let me show that question.
yeah.
We would love to. If there was enough interest, we could probably make one or two of them happen. Yeah, we could get some vinyl
What was the
rolling.
question?
It's on screen. It says, I know it's a long shot, but
gosh.
is there any chance of some vinyl pressings?
I would love to hear some of these songs on vinyl. I think they would. I think it would the sound reproduction would be pretty cool.
And Jackie asked if it's on YouTube Music. Yes, it is. It is on YouTube Music.
Speaking of YouTube, you said this is live on YouTube as well. Can we see comments
Correct.
on YouTube, or is it?
Yep.
Are people able to comment on YouTube?
In fact, Bob Lanning is watching on YouTube. See, there's a little YouTube symbol next to
Bob.
their question or their
Okay.
comment in the comment
All
thread.
right.
How many tracks of guitars does the finished version have?
I want to know that.
It's probably like 4 or 5. That's what I was just about to jump into talking about recording guitars for this when Byron joined in. So Matt Goldman, our producer, flew out to Portland. We got a studio here. It was in October. It was one of the darkest, rainiest days I can possibly remember. This studio, Matt and I walk in and we hit the light switch. And while there was like 20 light fixtures around the room, there was one bulb that was working in the middle of the studio. And that was it. It was this, we had to use flashlights to see some of the gear because it was so dark. And there was just one light bulb. In fact, Matt and I were saying, let's put it on the list to stop by someplace and buy some light bulbs so we could see what we're doing. Which I just thought was interesting because it ended up being some of the most happy poppy sounding guitar tracks we've recorded. And it was really dark and rainy outside and it was really dark in the studio. But when we were recording guitars, I mean, we brought you talked about how you guys recorded it at Matt's studio. You transformed the song into something different. Mm-hmm. I hadn't really heard it yet, other than I think maybe a board mix, or actually, I think you guys just sent me some video. Like you sent me some video of you guys in the studio. And so Matt and I open up this song, and the song was different, but we still didn't quite have an understanding of the direction because it didn't have, like, the verse melodies weren't there. And in the chorus, it still had the "Bury Me" lyric going.
Right.
But you guys had sped it up, and it felt like that lyric didn't work anymore. It was like it was a mouthful trying to get it out in time. So we just muted all of that, and we just recorded whatever we wanted. And it ended up being, I love the guitar sounds on that track. We used my Korg SDD 3000. It's a digital delay pedal. It's a pedal version of the rack version that the Edge uses on a lot of the classic U2 tracks. But that chorus guitar part, the rhythm guitar, you can hear the delay on that. That's what that pedal is, or that sound is. And so we just had a great time recording the guitar tracks for that. And it was weird because we're just going to do whatever we want, because it still kind of felt like the song that nobody felt strongly about. But then by the time we got done with it, we were like, hey, this is actually really, really cool.
The guitar from that song are some of my favorite guitars that I think you've laid.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we just had a blast, and it was so funny to me because it was so poppy, and it did not reflect the vibe of the studio or what was going on outside. But I remember calling Danny after that and saying, I think what we got's really cool, but we're gonna have to change that those lyrics don't work in the chorus anymore. Not only were they fast, but the tone of it didn't match the tone of the song anymore. Yeah. So I don't know what happened after that. The next thing I know is I get a final thing, and I was just blown away. But I don't know who wrote most of the lyrics or what happened next.
So just to catch Byron back up and maybe let him speak into that. So we talked about how the song idea, we started pushing and pulling on it, speed it up, slow it down, change some chord progressions. But it was really the feel, I think, that we got in the studio when you were tracking drums. That was the first building block of this later becoming the song that it is now. And that feel just felt really good. The tempo, the parts that were being played, the changes between the sections of the song, even though we didn't know exactly what the arrangement was going to be, all the parts were there and that feel was there. So do you remember anything about tracking that, Byron?
I don't. Well, I remember working on it at Ardent. Unless I'm thinking about something else, I think I remember playing that at Ardent. I did not play.
It's the last thing that we did. It's the last drum track that we did at Matt's old glow in the dark
Yeah.
spot.
Glow in the dark. No. So this is where I'm completely useless for tonight's conversation because I didn't even know "Bury Me" became "Middle of a First Love." I didn't know
Right.
it was the same. I didn't know where the origin was. And now that you mention it, I barely remember recording that at Matt's. I like the song. It's one of my faves, but I don't have a recollection of actually tracking it.
You were just in the moment. That's
right.
When you're present in the moment creating.
That's right.
You don't always remember.
Right. So we tracked most of that record in Memphis at Ardent Studios, and then we finished up in Atlanta at Glow in the Dark. Right. So
yeah.
But so like the other 9 songs, not all of them have drums, but the other 7 or 8 songs that have drums, we did them in Memphis, I think.
Oh wait, Miguel.
Yeah.
Was that me and you in the other room?
That
was me. That they were working on something else. I'm sorry, I'm catching myself up. All you people have been listening to something I didn't hear. That's right.
I remember that.
You and I. It was just you and me, and we sped it up, and it started working. That's right.
Exactly. We started playing the groove that's there now.
Oh, and y'all told me to come from down the hall and listen and try it out.
Yeah. Like
that's
going,
right.
Look, listen to this. We're changing it, and he started feeling better.
That's why I was thinking Danny wasn't there, because you were there. You were just down in the other room doing something different.
But even the final bass track, I did it actually with you, Michael.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So we did overdubs in home studios. So some of those vocals were tracked.
You guys.
So that was what the big surprise was. Nobody had any melody or lyric in mind except for the stuff we'd been humming along and singing along, scratch vocal stuff. So nobody heard the melody and the lyric until I sent the mix out that I'd recorded in here, just to make sure everybody liked it before I tried to get final takes.
Yeah.
While we're at it, can somebody tell me what I had for lunch 3 days ago? Because I was really worried about that. That's awesome. I'm glad. I'm glad to remember that now. And you guys were working on vocals for "Feels Like Home." Was it called "Home" or "Feels Like Home"?
I think you're right.
Yeah, we were. Yeah. That's right. We were doing like the choir.
That's right. There's the choir, all those choir vocals. That's why. It was very intensive to get all those various tracks.
I hope you hear
the world.
I hope you hear our excitement about songs on this last album we did. If you haven't heard our last album, say hello. Go and listen to it. We really like it.
Yeah. So "Middle of a First Love" is one of a handful of songs that went through some drastic melody and lyric changes. I think this is probably the most extreme example.
Yeah.
There was one other that I think was a complete turnaround, and I just had spent some time with the tracks that you guys had recorded already. And what I really feel like happened is everybody adding their part just kept upping the ante. And so by the time I heard the guitars that Kevin had put down, I was like, oh my gosh, we've really got to bring it with the melody and lyric for this. And so I remember going and listening to a Joe Jackson song. For whatever reason, Joe Jackson came to mind. So I listened to Is She Really Going Out With Him?
Yeah.
And somehow that gave me a thread to pull on. I didn't rip off any of the lyrics or melody or anything like that, but just the vibe of it was what I was feeling from the guitar tracks and the groove and all that stuff. And I remember, for whatever reason, that popping into my head and leaning into that a little bit. And then sort of reflecting on some of the things that had happened around some friends of ours' lives in the previous couple of years. And this idea for a different kind of love song popped into my head lyrically.
Well, that is a good point to pull up Joel's question, because I think at one point I misspoke and said maybe because you introed it at one of our shows saying it was a love song for your wife. But
what I said, I forgot I said this, but
there was a lot of.
I've been married for many years, and my wife has been to see us play many times. But we're not necessarily a love song band, a love song to our wives kind of band. But I did dedicate that song so I could say that I had dedicated a love song to my wife.
That's it. A dedication.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Cleared the air there. there was some place which I didn't mean to push that button. Oh, I have a question because people may not know that every time, at least all the artists I know, every time they start working on a new record, there's a lot of new song ideas, but then there's a lot of old song ideas that have piled up over the years that they tend to go through and kind of reevaluate because, we're cranking out ideas all the time. And sometimes that idea doesn't feel quite right for the moment, or there's better ideas around, or nobody buys in on it. But what's the point where we give up on one? Because it felt like this song was just begging to die.
Yes.
And
we were close. We were close to killing it, man. I can't believe this one survived the process because we wanted to bury the song. Really,
there was literally no excitement for it. I remember bringing it up in Memphis and hey, are we gonna get a cut of Bury Me? And I think everyone pretended like I didn't say anything because it was just like, maybe he'll just go away if we ignore him.
Well, what pulled it out of the crapper was, we've already talked about, is we get Miguel and Byron along with producer Matt Goldman just going for broke and saying, what if we speed it up and give it a different feel? And then Michael, there were 2 songs that I can think of on this record, and this is one of them, where he was commissioned with, or felt he needed to take it on himself, whatever, to just redo, just like kind of almost start from scratch and rework the lyrics and melody, and just kind of, we threw a Hail Mary, and that all came together on this song, to where at the end, I think one of you already said, it was like, at the end of this, it was like we heard a brand new song that almost had nothing to do with where we had started. It was like a brand new song because the melody was completely new. And Michael just sent us a demo or something that was like, here's this new song. It's what it sounds like now. And it was 100 times better. And that's the gift of collaboration. That's the beauty of sticking it out and giving a song one more chance.
Yeah. And it clearly would not have happened without everybody giving their creative input. Just like I was saying earlier, like I wouldn't have gotten to that place with the lyric and the melodies if Kevin hadn't gotten where he had gotten with the guitars, and he wouldn't have gotten where he got with the guitars if the rhythm section hadn't been inspiring. So it was really cool to see that thing come. And then it didn't stop there. It's like, so there's Danny and I are talking about, because the key the song is in, this is another interesting thing. Sometimes we work with song ideas and we don't realize until the last minute, this isn't the best key for me to sing this melody in. Right. But we're often, too far down the road to change that up. And I remember us talking about different things, that we could do to make this song lift in the chorus and make it feel good throughout. And Danny came up with some great harmony and background vocal parts. So like we could do a different mix of this song that was just a vocals up mix, and it would sound really, really interesting, and not like a completely different song, but you would hear parts that are there. You just don't hear them as much because they're tucked back in the mix a little bit to make room for everything that's there. But I think all of that just kept up in the ante with this song.
John O'Neill just joined everyone, just so you know.
Hey.
John O'Neill.
And a reminder for those watching, if you have questions, feel free to ask them in the chat and we will get to them. Here's one. You were talking some about the lyrics, Michael. Joel was asking about the lyrics. And basically saying, was talking to someone about it, and they said, I thought it meant something else.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of room for that song to hit people with whatever experience they bring in terms of how they've been loved and how they express love. But the idea came from, I had a couple of close friends pass away unexpectedly, just weeks or days before their 40th birthdays. So I was sort of thinking about what those men might like to say to the widows that they departed from abruptly. And so that the first verse is especially kind of thinking through, trying to look through the eyes of what that conversation might be like. Here are the things. Here's something I want you to know. And then the second verse is more of a me thinking about what Jesus would be saying to these women and families, and that's where the idea came from.
Excellent.
I thought it was about the circus
It was too. This whole time.
this whole time. That's good too.
I'm thinking of the difference between me and my wife in how we listen to music. The lyrics to songs is usually not the first thing I pay attention to when I'm listening to a
Same
song.
here.
I'm always all about the feel and the music and how great it feels and all that. My wife is all about the lyrics. So I remember playing the song for her for the first time in the car. We're driving around and I'm like, we just finished this song. You know, let me know what you think. And I played it for her. And halfway through the song towards the end, she's bawling, she's crying. I'm like, is it that bad? I mean, what is it? But she was just so moved by the lyrics. And like Michael said, it's the kind of lyrics that connect with different people in different ways. You know, she couldn't have possibly known, let's say, what was behind the first verse, like you said, Michael. But
actually,
the lyrics,
I got it flipped. The
or either
perspectives
one.
are, yeah,
right. But you know, people don't know that background, right? But the song, it was speaking, at least to her, about encouraging her to be who she's supposed to be, you know, in Christ, you know, showing what you're made of, how God has made us to be. And there were just different things like that.
Yeah.
Well, for me then, after seeing her reaction, that's when I actually start paying attention to the lyrics that you had written. Up until that point, I'm just like, man, this song feels great, you know? And then she gets mad at me because I'm like, you didn't even pay attention to the lyrics, you know? So I think it's a cool thing that this song has a power in the lyrics that goes beyond what maybe you might have even intended to write about, you know, and it's rare when that happens, but I think it did happen with this song.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
My dad passed in 2017, and so this was right about the time that I was starting to get a grip on this song myself. Right after that, and so I was able to share with my mom. Hey, Mom, listen to these songs. Listen to this song. See if it does anything to you. And the song gets to the bridge. The kind of the apex of the song is so much life in the palm of your hand. Now you get to choose how it opens, right? And so that's an extremely powerful line. And to watch my mom grasp that the first time was a really cool moment. And I was thankful that Michael had penned it that way. You know, it was a moment of encouragement.
Oh, yeah. That line kills me. I love it. So much life in the palm of your hands. Now you get to choose how it opens. That's rich.
It is good. It is good. Let's see.
Howdy, Lee Moody.
You know what? Yeah, Lee's here. The one.
That reminds me.
Oh, go ahead.
Found it. I got to go. You go ahead. But speaking of Lee Moody, I found something I'm at my parents' house still. And briefly, just thank you to everybody who's prayed and sent messages. My father went to be with Jesus yesterday. We were all there. It was a good time. It was awesome. He's influenced so many. But I'm at Mom and Dad's house, and I found something I need to show you guys. Speaking of Lee Moody, I will be right back.
All right.
I can't wait.
Can't wait. I had something I was going to comment on. Oh, I was going to say that, you know, this song was, when you record music and you're putting out albums, you know, there's songs that you're proud of, but then there's songs where it feels like you totally upped your game in a whole different way, or stretched yourself, or you exceeded your expectations. And I remember when I got to the first mix that Matt Goldman sent us, that it just gave me chills. And I was just like, I can't believe this is so amazing. I can't believe that this song that we just nobody believed in became this. And it felt like we took something to a new level, and I was very proud of just our accomplishments. And even if nobody heard the song, I would have felt satisfied in what we were able to do with it. So,
yeah. Those that is a very special thing. That is a return on investment in and of itself. We love that we still get to make music together, but we didn't plan for that. We didn't plan for that song to roll out the way that it did. We just showed up to be creative and let creativity flow through us. That's what God's put in us, and trying to steward it well and let it come out in the best ways possible that we can with the lives that He's given us. And so I agree with that, Kevin. It's a very special thing when something happens like that we didn't know how to plan for, didn't expect. Very cool.
Yep. I thought it'd be a hit, a #1 hit. That hasn't happened yet.
Well, yeah.
There's still time with TikTok. Someone skateboard down the freeway listening to our song, and
there you go.
Ocean spray.
It's out there. The Lord can do with it what He chooses.
All right,
we made an effort. We made
all the, yes, we did.
Gave somebody some money to do something, and
people just weren't ready for it yet. They weren't ready for it yet.
It was ahead of its time.
That's
Let me share
right.
this real quick.
All right.
I don't know how Lee Moody will stay with us, but I had forgotten this headshot existed. We've talked about the band Villanelle, which 3 of us were in as a precursor to the Poets, and I found this in the piano bench a little while ago.
boom.
Well, wait, you got to get close to the camera. We need it.
There you go. There you go.
Right. Look at all that.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Let me see
the
if I
lead
can.
singer from the Smithereens.
There he is.
Oh yeah.
Look at all that hair, man.
Wow.
That's glorious.
Some good-looking boys.
I can't, from this distance, Michael almost looks like the Edge. You got your little hat on. It's hard to. Wow.
Yeah.
How about that? That's fun, huh? I mean, I remember this headshot of this glossy.
What year was
A
that?
lot going on in that picture, fashion-wise. Love that.
That was, you guys
I'm
remember?
just talking about my outfit.
You remember where that was taken, guys? Byron and Michael?
Oh gosh, Union, is it Nashville? That Union
Station.
training station. It's a hotel now or something.
Yeah, that was at Union Station.
It's a hotel.
I thought that was fun. And while I'm on tangents, let me add one more thing, because this is I think this is a pretty cool story. Today we were going over some hymns for the homegoing service we're going to have this week. And I asked the dumbest question I've ever asked. I said, "Does Dad have a hymnal around here somewhere?" I walked into this. My dad, who's been a Baptist minister of music for 60-something years, I walked in, and on the top shelf over here, I stopped counting.
I can tell from here. There's a lot of hymnals.
28 different hymnals on the top row.
Awesome.
They're numbered by year, and the oldest one is 1905.
Wow.
I bet you I could guess what hymn is hymn #1 in at least 85% of them.
Yes, you
if
can.
not 100%.
It's the same word 3 times.
Yeah.
Holy, holy, holy. Okay, that was fun.
Hey, Tim Fike's joining us now,
Hi, Tim Fike.
and we should give out a shout out to Mike.
Abner.
Mike, I don't know if your last name, how you pronounce it, if it's Brunstetter, but Mike is always saying very kind things online as well, and he's
Recognize that.
Yeah,
He is.
Very
Hey, I don't
encouraging.
see
Yes.
Abner. Did you say Abner?
Yeah, Abner's in there.
So I wanted to say that I'm in Columbus, Georgia, and I visited a studio here the other day. I can't remember if I told you guys this, but the guy that runs it and owns it, Justin Ballou, said he was in a band with Abner called Red Circles.
Red Circles.
Yes. So how about that? Because Abner played drums in that band, right?
Small world. Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was a great studio. It was a really nice place.
So, any more thoughts about Middle of a First Love? We've, I don't know. Anything else you want that you want?
I will say this: that as we were tracking the vocals for it, and there's so much going on vocally, we were thinking, "Gosh, can we do this live?" And so when we came together to rehearse to play live, I was so Actually, we did it acoustically before we did it full band live.
You are
just did
correct.
it as an acoustic number. I was like, "Good gracious, we're able to do this."
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking too how there's songs that track great in the studio. They make for a great album cut, but they're kind of hard to play live, or they don't translate as well, or vice versa. Some songs that we're playing live feel great, and then we go in the studio and it doesn't quite have the magic that it did live. This is one of those where live just translates so well. It's so fun to play. The vocal arrangements that you guys came up with are so fun to sing live, and you see the people, the reaction. Everybody's like, just responded. It's just a great fun song live also. So a good song's a good song.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And
It is
especially
fun.
when we end it all together.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. That ending.
Yeah.
I just told an opposite version of that story just moments ago. I said,
But you said this is the worst song to play live.
well, I just said
Well, I can see how it stresses you out because you're nitpicky about the vocals. The rest of us are just like, it's rock and roll and we did it.
Well, it took us in rehearsal a while to get to the point where we could play it together and all end in the same place, because the ending is a little confusing. The format is different and there's a lot going on. But when we nail it, which we do now after a lot of rehearsal, it's good fun.
But at first it's like, is this the ending yet? Is this it? Is that the last
Yeah.
rep? One more.
Well, it's because, can you explain what happens at the ending, why it gets so confusing, Danny?
So there's a chord progression, and then there's a typical way that that progression transitions to either repeating the progression or having a couple of measures in between. And I remember tracking the original lead vocal for it and thinking, gosh, should we try to edit this so that it feels musically right, so to speak, or symmetrical with starting, each phrase of this outro the same. And I was like, no, I love it. I love the fact that it isn't the kind of cookie cutter thing. And so I arranged that vocal to be kind of combination ad lib stuff with repeating that chorus, just to kind of follow the music, and it's entertaining.
And it goes at the end, we start into a 6-bar pattern instead of an 8-bar pattern. And the BGVs, even within that, aren't doing the same thing consistently. It's almost like, it's almost like the background vocal section of, keeps poking its head around the corner at different moments in different ways. It's hard to predict. And we had to rehearse it about 1 million times before but amend it. We do it slightly different live.
Here's what I think we do now live. We basically put it on Michael. We lost count. We lost count of how many times we're supposed to go over, and we just go, when Michael gives the signal, the rock and roll fist or whatever, we know the end is coming, and we end it.
That's
so we're looking to you, Michael. Other than that, we just keep playing it over and over.
This is the one point in the show where it looks like I'm on stage holding a guitar trying to do a math problem in my head, because I'm like, wait, no, it's supposed to be there. No, but if this is then X is that, and Y is, oh man, I'm lost.
Yeah.
Somebody
lost.
tell me where we're at.
And then I see Michael go, here it is. And here's the end. We're
done. Danny, Bob Lanning mentioned, since you were talking about your dad, that those lyrics for that song, One of These Days, that's on Listen Closely, was actually something that you found that he had written, correct?
Yeah. So before we recorded Listen Closely, that album, I was going through some of my dad's poems and songs. He's a really gifted writer, and I found this poem, and I asked Dad if I could set it to music. And I don't remember why we did it this way, but for some reason I sang the lead vocals, which is the only poet song I've ever done that on. But on the record, I sang it and played it. Did just one take. It's a little imperfect, and it's okay. I even sang one of the lyrics wrong, because that's just one pass, sit down at the piano, sing it, and we didn't go back and correct stuff. But as I was with him at the end of his life over this weekend, over the last few hours, I sang that song to him, and he was unresponsive I haven't told hardly anybody this. Now I'm telling the whole world this, but he was unresponsive until I started singing that song, and I felt the slightest squeeze, and it was pretty special.
That's awesome.
And I was holding his hand, and we're going to do that song at his celebration service in a couple of days. So thank you for saying that. It means a lot.
Well, the reason that we did it that way is because one, I like hearing you sing, and that's the way that our musical journey started together. Is coming around your songs and figuring out figuring out how to put drums and bass guitar to piano songs back in the day. But no, we were going for that that kind of moment, and I think we got it pretty well on that record. It's good.
I think it's a great ending.
Good song and well done, and it needed to be that. That's what
Mike has a question, and you are welcome to ask any question you want in the chat. We've been talking about Middle of First Love, which is off of the album Say Hello, but we'll take any question. We're here. Mm-hmm. You're here. We're here. Ask away. But Mike has a question about the BGVs at the end of There's Only You, and I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, so Michael and I wrote those, and what we're saying is really hard to interpret.
We don't know what his question is yet.
No, I see it's on the screen. It's on the screen.
I know it's an old song, but am I allowed to ask Danny about the BGVs at the end of There's Only You?
But what does he want to know about them? What does he want to know about?
Just what they are.
He wants to know what they are. Okay.
What we're saying is love earth can't replace and heaven can't erase. Find me on my penitent face. And the whole song is really, the whole There's Only You is really about not having any other. It's really about the first of 10 commandments, not putting any other gods before him. And that's why it's kind of a song of repentance. And that's why we end it with that BGV background vocal that says, find me on my penitent face. It's really hard to make it out when you're listening, but love earth can't replace. Love earth can't replace and heaven can't erase. Find me on my penitent face.
There you have it.
Hey, heaven.
I've heard
a little hard to make out right there because it's heaven.
Heaven, like
heaven.
A Baptist.
Yeah.
Heaven. HEAVN apostrophe.
That that song I've heard it a few times recently, and that song feels just as relevant as ever, if not more so, in my opinion. It's my opinion.
It's a good recording too.
That's one of my favorite guitar solos you've ever done.
I know, and it makes me feel so much pressure. Last time we were playing it live, I started thinking about that. I'm like, oh crap, if I mess this up, Danny's gonna hate me.
I still love you, but
Did you see Eduardo's comment about Middle of First Love that he loves the common core ending?
The math problem.
Thanks for noticing.
Yes.
Those are good questions, though.
Yeah. Any more questions? Feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm trying to think of some questions about Middle of First Love. No, somebody asked where our first show after COVID would be. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We already have a couple of bookings for next year that are postponements.
Yeah. Sure we were supposed to play a big festival up in Michigan that they bumped everything to 2021, and we had a couple other bookings, but it's really tough to book anything at this point because nobody knows really, and it's different state by state. I know where I live, all the music venues are still completely closed. There's nothing happening, and that's pretty sad because a lot of those venues probably won't survive, but we'll see. Yeah. We'll see when we can get out there and playing live. I'm dying to play live. Speaking of Miguel, I think you mentioned the songs and where when you're in the recording process, it's like you're focusing on recording, but some of them just don't translate live, or some of them feel great live, but they may not have been like favorites on the album, but they're still fun to play. Yeah. These new songs we're working on that everyone hasn't heard yet. that I was wondering about, man. Some of these are gonna be hard to pull off live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's
we
always the
have
challenge.
You know
that.
what? I think sometimes we feel that way just because the way we're, our creative process has to happen a lot in the pressure cooker. So like,
Mhm.
I know that sometimes we get home and we're like, what did I just work on? I don't remember,
Right.
half
Right.
of what I played or sang. But then,
Yeah.
you hear the things back and it gets back in your brain in the right order and in the right way.
Right.
But I think that sometimes we feel that way at this point before a record comes out. We're like, gosh, we haven't played a lot of these things live yet. But we'll learn them. We'll learn them.
Yeah, we'll
It'll be
figure
fun.
them out.
Yeah.
We'll figure 'em.
It's fun actually to come up with live arrangements for songs. To me, that's another cool thing. I love being in the studio. I love putting the songs together in the studio, recording them. That's a whole thing that's just awesome. But it's then pretty cool to get together and work out live arrangements for them. How are we going to play this live now? It's pretty cool. So that happens too. So I look forward to when we can finally get together and play live again.
Speaking of that, Joel is asking for an update. February is probably safe. I mean, we're actually mixing right now, so we'll probably have the bulk of it done before the Christmas break. If anyone's taking a break at Christmas, we'll probably have it done before then. But yeah, so it's hard to, even if we had it done, this month, it's hard to release anything this time of year unless it's Christmas music, at least for our genre, because most of the radio stations and people just go into full-time Christmas music listening, which we have solutions for that. So
We do.
We do. And so it'll be the new year when the new record comes out, but it'll be worth the wait. We promise. We promise.
However, Kevin, it's not impossible for us to maybe release a Christmas single this year.
It's not, anything's possible,
It
Danny.
could happen. I'm just saying.
It could happen. It could happen. There'll be plenty of small town poets things to tide you over till then. I'll just say that. So just be on the lookout.
Yeah.
All right. Unless we got another question or two, or anything else about Middle of First Love before we wrap up?
It needs to happen soon because I smell fried chicken in the next room.
A reminder that if you don't have our Rarities digital box set yet, you can go to the address that's on the screen right now. Check out lots of goodies in there. There's
really fun.
The 70s medley, the live 70s medley that we did for many years is in there. A great recording of it, which is a lot of fun. A lot of other demos. I think there's a demo of Trust. I'm trying to think what other songs. There's some demos that didn't have the whole evolution of the song, but there's some other things in there. There's lots of photos and some special posters we made for it. So yeah, check it out. Yeah. And then there's the original demos, 3-song tape demo that we sent to the labels that got us our record deal, and all sorts of good stuff in there. So
and Puerto Rican poetry. Well, Puerto Rican accent. Poetry.
Oh yeah. Some classic live poetry readings.
What you can find in there, you mentioned the 70s medley, you can listen to it all the way through without risk of interruption by a random promoter or
somebody asking you to stop, or somebody asking you to stop.
Right. How can people get the whole story of how we were thrown off stage for doing that medley? It's somewhere online, right?
Yeah, probably.
They
can call me up anytime. I'll tell that story all day long.
Great story.
That might be another one of these.
Hour on that story.
Yeah.
Get through the whole thing.
My biggest regret with that is that back then I was pretty shy. And when we were backstage and Danny was face to face with the promoter, and it wasn't an altercation. It was closing in on an altercation, but words were exchanged. I had a video camera, but I felt too shy to flip it and turn it on reality TV style. But man, I wish I had it. Now, if that happens, I'll have a phone and absolutely it'll be recorded probably from 4 different angles, and we'll do some reshoots if needed. But But yeah, that was a sight. And
Do we have time for these last two?
Yes. Let's get Abner's up there because I thought that was an interesting question. Are you finding your new music is creating new SP fans or mostly consumed by existing fans? Do you feel your fan base has changed since putting out new music? That's an interesting question because it feels like with every new album release, we pick up new fans along the way, but we definitely have the diehard fans. It's interesting. This is just my opinion. It's interesting that as a band goes along through their career, and I've seen this with other artists as well, that sometimes getting beyond your initial success is a challenge. And so I've seen it with I'm friends with some of the guys in Switchfoot, and it doesn't matter how many new albums they make, people still want to hear the big hit. Yeah. Right. So it's interesting. So it's like right. You have the people that know you because of a certain thing. If your song's popular, it becomes a soundtrack to whether it's their summer or a year in school or college or whatever their life is at the time, and that kind of hangs with them. And that's what you're kind of known for. So yeah, there's both. We're trying to pick up new fans. And
so, interesting question. And here's maybe a take on that doesn't necessarily clear anything up. It is data though, so we can take the data and interpret it however we will. But our last single, Try, was a single that we released from the last record. So Love is the Ocean is our most recent single, but it's going to be on the current project. But Try has almost the same number of spins as Prophet, Priest, and King on Spotify. So that's just one segment, data from one segment. And I don't know if that tells us anything about who's listening to it, but I have a hunch that maybe people have found Try on playlists and things that are out there. So that might be some evidence of new people finding new material and listening to it more than once.
Gary has a question that I think kind of is an interesting follow-up to that. Is like, do you find that most Christian radio stations just play worship type music and not the old school music like yours?
Well, when he says old school, what I thought he meant, so if I can put words in his mouth, was back before everything really went to this worship heavy format with all the stations that were previously playing pop Christian stuff like ours. I mean, we're not a pop band per se, but for lack of a better word there. Radio stations, when we were touring heavily, were playing our stuff and Switchfoot and Jars of Clay, a lot of things that were just songs about life and introspections on how we live it. And yeah, now it's mostly worship stuff, and we do have some worship songs, but not a ton. So we do see that a lot, Gary. Frankly, yeah, that's what we run into.
Yeah, radio in general, not even just Christian radio. Radio in general has changed drastically. And any station you listen to, traditional radio format, over-the-air broadcasting, they don't change songs a lot. No matter what station you're listening to, you're going to hear a lot of the same songs over and over again, where that used to not be the case. People would add a whole bunch of new songs every week, and that's just not the case. Most of the music discovery where it used to happen on radio, that used to be the playlist of the day, if you will. But most of that happens just on digital platforms now, like Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon. People just digging around, finding what they like, and those platforms recommending new music based on taste. So it's just a very different world now. And we've had some songs pitched to radio off of the last album, and we knew wasn't the perfect fit for what they're doing anymore. So we kind of it's not what it used to be. It's different. The kids like the playlists on Spotify these days.
They do. It's the way of the present. I was going to comment on Ray's question or Ray's comment and just point out
this one.
Yeah, because Kevin Lawson is a friend of ours, particularly a buddy of mine down in Florida where I'm living, and he has an album coming out soon. And so Noah, my son, who is producing the current Poets record, is also produced this new Kevin Lawson record, and so be listening for that name. I've heard the record, and it is pretty good, man. It's pretty great.
It sounded like you just called him Sir Noah, and you were saying so Noah. But
has he been knighted already?
Sir Noah.
He's been knighted.
Yeah,
it's inevitable.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, so Kevin Lawson was a Nashville guy that just happened to move near me in Florida. I knew him before. A really good songwriter, and it's going to be good stuff. So be looking for that.
And speaking of Noah, I don't know if we've mentioned him, but he was present during the transformation of Middle of a First Love. So we need to give some props to him for I think nudging that song in a good direction. So once we had the feel and the tempo, just nudging it in the right direction musically.
Yeah, if you have the Rarities box set, that middle, the middle song of Middle of a First Love, that the version that's like where the transformation starts, that's actually Noah playing guitar, because I wasn't there for that. That was happened.
And he's also one of the voices. He's also one of the voices going, "I know where you came from."
Yep.
Doing a lot of those vocals.
Yep.
Good stuff.
All right. Well,
I need to eat chicken.
What's that?
I need to eat chicken.
Yes.
Is that just something you blurt out every once in a while?
Yes. When I can.
All right. All right. Well, thanks so much for everyone hanging with us. These chats have been fun. Hopefully there'll be some more coming up. I know it's going to be a busy week here in the United States, at least. There's
the rioting and such. Please don't. We don't encourage it.
No. It's so I don't know if this week, if there'll be enough space in people's schedule or enough space in their brain in order to consume more small town poets. There'll be a lot of stuff going on, but you might see us, you might not, but there are some small town poets things coming up very quickly that we'll start teasing online this week. So be looking for that. We know you're going to love it. And Danny needs to eat chicken, and that sounds like an emergency.
See you
All right.
guys.
See ya. Thanks so much. Bye.
It was fun. See you.
Bye. See you next time.